Um, Yeah, no questions, Cecile. First of all, please note that you will be muted. So if you can't unmute yourself, take note that there's a reason for that. We just want to keep this space, sorry, not safe. We want to keep the space traffic free to ensure that no one speaks over the other. If you have any questions, you can put it on the chat. Rupeni will be facilitating that. And he'll be taking note of it. If we're able to, we will be able to unmute you for you to ask your questions directly to Tuz. And remember, no questions is silly. We're all learning here, so ask away. Right, and I'm gonna give it over to Marcus now.
Okay, mbola guys. My name is Marcus Ndraketerua. Udhuruni ralevu na matatelevu vasurutuma. So basically, this meeting was organized by, this session is organized by the Oblong Table Squad. It consists of about 25 individuals from around the Pacific and in Fiji. We come with different experiences and a wide variety of things that we normally do and all. So what we do here, we basically set up a space, safe space to be exact, where we can discuss on really anything that's happening and stuff. So yeah, so everyone's welcome to really talk and share your thoughts without fear, and feel free to talk up and post your questions in the chat. So yeah, thank you very much, and over to Tu.
Thank you very much, Marcus and Kate. So yes, this Zoom meeting, to be honest, I thought it would just be like 16, 15, the usual suspects. But yes, I underestimated the interest in this topic, the topic of Veiwekani, or the ties that bind our Vanua. So, a little bit about myself. My name is Tunrau Tuamatua Talambula Mai China. As my name suggests, I'm from the heavenly side of Fiji, that is also known as Lau, from the island of Oneata, where the sun shines 24/7 and the mosquitoes don't really bother us at all. And after God made Eden, he decided he had a better idea and made my Kornivasu, which is Nadeva, Banga. So, as you can see, I am well based on all my roots. Anyhow, so a little bit my academic back story. I study history and geography in the university. Unfortunately, I do not have the resources to complete my degree, so I'm just currently doing what I can every year. I have been studying for about 7 years now, but once I do get that degree, you can bet I'll be posting up more info. But for now, I am sharing what I can about the ties that make us islanders very special. My passion has always been about the Vanua. I was raised by two men who were very passionate and well versed in the Vanua. Those two men were my grandfathers on my paternal and maternal side. One Sunia Talmbulumechina on my paternal side, and Taito Wangawakotonga on my maternal side. On my paternal side, I am Bat, and on my maternal side, I am a Matani Vanua. Okay, so to kickstart things, I've decided to go a little bit into the word Veiwekani. The funny thing about this word Veiwekani is I've always believed that the word was incorrectly spelled when it was first laid down on paper. Veiwekani has more to do with roots, and because when I try to go back to the root of the word weka, I keep coming back to waka. So if we were to say correctly, it still sounds like we spell it. So if we were to say Veiwekani, there's really no difference in how it sounds at all. So when you put it in that way, when you exchange the E for A, you find that the word, it makes clearer what the ties are that bind us together. That is a root. And in order for, and some common sense, I'm sorry, my voice is a little shaky if you hear it because I've never addressed such a large gathering before. But, so please bear with me. However, we all know that when it comes down to, for anything to grow, we have to water its roots properly, okay? So therefore, in this case, when we talk about our ties, intertribal or such, it comes down to the root of it all. So that is Veiwekani, how going back to the root. So a great tree can be found only if its roots are stable. Okay. Now, I've noticed and I've seen that there's a lot of debate about our identity, how we ought to label ourselves, and how we should refer to each other. And so I'm hoping that this also helps us to define or help us to move forward in our identity. Okay. So if we're to go into Veiwekani, we have to go onto the different levels of Veiwekani in Fiji. Okay? The very first Veiwekani is your huvali, or your household. Okay? Now these are your immediate family, your brother, your sister, your mother, and your father, or whatnot. This does not yet include your uncle and such, because those would come under Tokotoka, the extended family. Now, once you get into once you find your place in your huvali, you'll be able to step up into the Tokotoka and speak with the proper authority that is duty. As a ulumatua, you'll be able to speak on behalf of your father in the meetings of Tokotoka. Okay? And then, as it goes higher up, you go from Tokotoka to Matangali. Now, often, a Matangali is made up of siblings of one vu, or siblings of the person who started up that Matangali. Okay, so when you go up from when you go into Tokotoka, you'll find yourself under the yavu, or sometimes a house name of the person who started your Tokotoka. Okay, so if I were to make an example of this, my favorite example is for the Tuineo in the Matangali or Hunirawa. There are 4 Tokotokas, right? There's Koroidumu, Matela Kamba, Naivi, and the Tokotok Waturanga, that is Watuanga. Okay. Now these 4 Tokotokas are actually were actually based on the sons of the first Tuineo. So from there, their descendants set up their own families, and they've been able to relate to each other as such. Okay, I'm not going to dig more into that because that's a whole different library altogether. Okay, so after going into your Tokotoka and then Matangali, Matangali is also where you get is also known as the landowning unit. Okay, so the Matangali, most of the stuff to do with TLTP comes through the Matangali. It is always, you'll hear it's always Matangali land. They'll keep saying this word comes over and over in TLTP, that is Matangali land. And when you look at the maps, when they show you, okay, this piece of land is empty, they'll say, okay, it's under this Matangali, right? Now, it is because the whole Matangali, not just one Tokotoka, the whole Matangali will have to come together to agree on whether or not you can keep such land. Okay, that's just a little bit of general knowledge. And then above Matangali comes Yavusa. Now this is a clan. Okay. Above Matangali is Yavusa. From Yavusa, sorry, not clan, Matangali is the clan, Yavusa is the tribe. Under Yavusa, you will be able to match who your Vu is, who your ultimate ancestor is. Okay? And normally Yavusa is first in a certain piece of land. Yeah. Often there's due to issues with our record keeping, not the record keeping at the government, but how our ancestors kept their records, that is via our oral history. It's been found that a lot of what ought to be has been muddled up. Okay, and so what we have been able to do thus far is to sit down and re-listen to all this oral history, all this, and I'm not going to say oral stories, but all these information, and just try and piece it together with what we already know, and sometimes it just comes down to what makes sense. Yeah. Okay. And then after the Wusa is a Tikina. Now Tikina is normally location, it's geographically or location based. A piece of land can be location of a Tikina. Okay. The Tikina is immovable, but it is part of the identity. Although a whole Matangali can leave to go to a different location, their Tikina will remain behind, and they have to create a new Tikina once they've moved or migrated. Okay. Now, these, I'm really sorry, when it comes down to it, I'm going to leave out province because province was not created until the signing of the deed of cession. It is not an Itoki institution to my eyes. And all the Veiwekani that I've found, or most of it actually, there have been a few exceptions. Most of the Veiwekani that I've found have been at most Tikina based, at least Tokotoka based. But since Yasana was new, or the provincial status is new, it's actually caused a lot more confusion in my eyes. Because even within Lao, we have our own Tauhu, we have our own Vetambani. And people ask, why do you have that in Lao, in one province? And then when you go back, you find, no, it's between the Tikinas. It's more common between Tikinas than the province. Okay, so another bit of basic information regarding Veiwekani is it has to do with the root family or the initial family, right? Okay, so I'll have to explain the relationship within the family. Now, most of our Veiwekani are laterally based, that is, siblings based. Okay. So in Fijian, there are two types of siblings, Veitadini and Venganeni. Now you have to take note of this because when it comes up to the broader spectrum of Veiwekani, you'll find that it's from these two relationships that we're able to define our links to each other. Okay? Right. So the first one, Veitadini, there is siblings between the same gender. So two brothers or two sisters, those two are those two relate to each other as Veitadini. Venganeni is siblings between two gender. Okay, so brother and a sister will be called Venganeni. And when it comes down to the next generation, their children, a brother and a brother, their children will call each other by the same relationship as they do. Okay, so my dad's brother's son will call me brother. And his daughter will also call me brother. I will call her sister. We're still we're still thought of as direct siblings. And the funny thing about this is, in the old Fijian society, ancient Fijian society, there was no concept of orphanage, of an orphan. Because if your parents were killed, you are automatically adopted by your dad's dad or your dad's brothers. And the system of relationship in Fijian society was such that everyone knew, or everyone was able to relate to each other in such a way that everyone was always taken care of. No one was ever left behind. Okay? And now, Veiwekani, though, when it comes to Veiwekani, their children call each other Veiwekani. Their children are Veiwekani. Now, the thing about Veiwekani is they are, normally, that's a Veitambuki. If a sister of mine were to ask for something of mine, I am required to give it up on the spot. No questions asked. Okay? That's also called Veiwekani, or to spoil our sisters, because our sisters were thought to be Nayel, to bring in the treasures, or when they get married, their dowry would allow for us to live in more comfort. Okay? So, that being said, we're going to go into the broader spectrum that is Veitawutaki and Veitambani. Yeah. Veitawutaki normally is always thought to be of that where two who were siblings. That is, they were brothers or they were both sisters. And as such, their descendants, no matter where they go, they will always refer to this relationship to be cared for. No matter where you go, if you know you're Veitawu with a certain place, you have every right. You do not, there's no such thing as a guest right. You are okay. You go in as part of the family. Okay. Now, often, what I found is a lot of people have mixed up Veitawutaki and Veitambani. Now, Veitambani is where two hu or two ancestral gods are Veitawaleni. That is, their parents were Veiwekani, brother and sister. Okay. So the way you treat your Tavale is how you treat those of your Veitambani. Now, Veitambani also bears a striking resemblance, or is actually the same as Neta. Sometimes you'll see people calling each other Tambangu or Neta, Naitambangu, Naitambani, or Nongitamba. Yeah. But when it comes to Tauhu, now Tauhu is one of Veiwekani. Ultimate care, ultimate service is always done to a Tauhu when you're a host. They can walk in and walk out as they please. Although, yes, within the normal measures of decency, but they must be treated as of the same family. Yeah. Okay. And somebody was asking more on the question of Veitambuki. Now, Veitambuki is normally between Veiwekani, brother and sister. In ancient Fiji, or pre-colonial Fiji, as a lot of historians say, a brother and a sister were not even supposed to be in the same burre. A sister would sleep with her mother in the other burre, or they'd have their own. Yes, Stephen Obon. Kalito nga may is incorrect. In fact, sometimes the way we treat our tauhu or tau is incorrect. So when somebody starts treating you like that, I believe that the right connotation should be kadi naita nga may. Yeah. Okay. With regards to Veitawaleni in Madhuwata, Madhuwata does not recognize Veiwekani or Veiwekani. Funnily enough, they've all those from Maswati that I've spoken to call their sister Taringu. So since a basic relationship is different, the definition of the basic relationship is different, all relationships thereafter is changed. The definition of all the relationships thereafter is changed. Yeah. Yes, some places in the Onrove as well. The question I had actually asked a friend of mine who is from Maswati to join us, but I don't believe he's here. Oh, when he comes in, then I'll ask him to present a little on the relationship in CBM. Yeah. So, but for now, I'll just continue with Veitambuki, that is the relationship between Tambu. Now, when it comes to Veitambuki, sometimes, oh, you know, okay, there you are. All right, so Veitambuki is on the first level, initial level between Venganin. Yeah. So I've actually read a story where a sister simply touched a club belonging to her brother, and he gave it up to her so her husband could use it from there on. Yeah. That is the height of care between, height of care between the Venganin. And their children, they call each other Veiwekani. Now, Veiwekani, the thing about Veiwekani is this. Normally, in ancient Fijian custom, these would be the first, they would be the first you go to if you're looking for a partner, or your parents are looking for a partner for you. These would be the initial option. Yeah. And as it goes along, so I believe that's also why they treat each other as such, because because that option is always there. I'm sorry, I can't explain more on this. I haven't really dug into Veiwekani, but that is also the basis of the Veitambani relationship. So, and the limitations to Veitambani do not exist. I remember, I think I was reading about this Kandavu rugby team, Kachi rugby team that were in Suva, and they happened to go through the market, and they came across this gentleman from Nandronga, and he was selling his hila. He was calling out, hila, hila, hila may Nandronga. Along came this Nita and told him, "You're from Kamungu may Nandronga." Nita told the whole team, "Take as much sila as you want." All that the gentleman from Nandronga could do was laugh as they took everything that was on the table. That is, and if you were to look at it from a Western perspective, you go, "Oh, Momo, how dare they do that?" They took all of that, all of his wares. What's he going to do? How is he going to feed his family? And that's not bad. That's not wrong. But at the same time, you have, like I believe Dr. Punpat said, we have dual identities. And I wanted to ask him, but there were so many questions I wrote down that I didn't know which to start with. But I believe also that in Fiji, we also have a crisis of dual identities. Yeah. So that is the basis of the Veitambani relationship. Now, the thing about Veitavu and all this is it links not only two Vanuas, two Yasanes, but every level of Veiwekani, from your Huvale, your Toktoka, all the way up to Chikina. Yeah. So some people say, but Lau and Rewa. Now, Lau and Rewa is a funny case because, okay, initially it was only between Nodo and Nayao. And some people still hold to that to this day. When someone from Lao calls out to someone from Reo Tau, they'll say, no, no, no. That was true until the wedding of our paramount chiefs. That was Ratumara and Rolala. This wedding tied both provinces in a way that had never been done before. Because when I read back on Fijian history, I can't find a wedding of the same scale where two ruling chiefs married each other. Now, that's not to say that all the ruling chiefs back in the day were men, because there were also women who were ruling paramount chiefs. But in this case, because we had changed the definition or changed the level of our relationship, instead of the ruling chief being from the Tikina but from the Holiasana, this affected the whole relationship it affected the relationship across the board, from Tikina all the way down to Uwal. So now, if you were to ask me, Alau and Rewa Vita Utengjina, I'll have to say yes. Because that wedding created a whole new Veiwekani. So from that wedding, we start with a whole new Veiwekani system, and that is a system between provinces. Okay. So that being said, there's also another type of Veitambuki, which is Veitambuki Kakana. Now, the only example that I can find of this is there's one in my mother's village, and there's another between, I believe, Vungale and Lutu. And in Vungale, they cannot eat fish. They have a tambo on fish if someone from Lutu is with them. And I'm pretty sure for those from Lutu, if someone is here from Lutu, please correct me. But I believe that those from Lutu cannot eat dalo and pork before those from Vungale. In fact, and they'll give just pork. Thank you very much, Siri. So they will, when somebody from Lutu is in the Valinisongo or in close proximity, they will take all the fish and give it to that person. And the same for those in Lutu if somebody from Vungale is there. Now the story goes that the High Chief of the Tikino Vungale invaded the highlands. Right? So he went undefeated until he came to the Wainimbuka River. When he arrived at Wainimbuka, at the Wainimbuka River on the other side, he saw the Tuilutu standing there. Tuilutu was standing there with his army, ready for a fight. Now, when he came to that point, he knew, okay, he looked back and saw that his army was tired, and there was not much that they could do from then on. And then when they came, so knowing all this, he wondered how he could, go away with something, at least with some shred of dignity. So what he did was, at that time, he noticed that he had become, it was now noonday, lunchtime. And as we all know, the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. So he decided to call for lunch. He approached the Tuilutu with what he had brought for his lunch, which was fish. And I called him over to eat with him. And the Tuilutu brought, he brought pork with him. So they exchanged food, and that sealed, I believe that sealed that relationship from then on. Yeah. Okay, so yes, these are all the relationships that encompass, and I may have left out some more, but these were all the relationships that I was preparing. thus far. And so if there's anything I left out, or if you feel that I didn't correctly present a certain relationship, and if you'd like to correct me, please do so. I would actually take this opportunity to learn more from everyone. Thank you very much for listening to me. Malo.
Thank you so much for the wonderful presentation. If you feel free to ask them, maybe you can just sort of type it in the chat group that you have a question, and then I'll call your name out, and then we can move on from there. But before we go, I have a question first. Rotuma, we talked about this, them in the province, and you know, how do we call each other? If you can just shed light on that too.
Oh, okay. When it comes to Rotuma, that's on a confederacy, the Matintu level. Now, I'm sorry, I left out this relationship. This relationship is not really one of blood, but more of the alliance between Vanuatu during pre-colonial Fiji, when different Tikinas used to band together to fight off an invader or such. The most, before colonialism, the most dominant one, or the most well-defined one, would be Tovata, which is a Matintueva. These four Yasanas, they band together, that is what is now known as Lau, Taundrove, Maduata, and Boa. They band together to make Tovata, and at the same time, to combat them, you had Kumbuna, which were all the Bau Veiwekani. And then the rest, these were all the places which were connected to or defeated by Mbau, and Ratatanoa or Tahumbau and so on and so forth, with their Lascaux. So, fast forward a little bit to 1874, 1875, when they were deciding how they would, how to make administration of the new colony that was Fiji easier. And to do that, what they did was they couldn't use Tikina because there were too many Tikina to count. And that made it harder for them. So they made first the 12 Yasana. Yeah. And from the Yasana, they divided that up into the 3 Matintu. Now, I think Rotuma got ceded to Great Britain just a few years after we were ceded. I think chiefs from Rotuma actually went to Great Britain for that session. And after Rotuma, so after we got our independence, Rotuma decided to stay. And what they did was, for administrative purposes of the Kovana, they put Rotuma under Kumbuna. Okay? So all of the Veiwekani that I've described has been ties of blood. It's all family matter. But I have not found I have found similar titles, I found similar names, but I have not found concrete relationships between Rotuma and Fiji. So if you had to say, like, if the question is, do we call them Tohu, especially from Tovata and Kumbuna, would we call each other Tohu because of that? I'd have to say no, because it's a different culture, it's a different Vanua altogether, with their own system. Yeah. So since this was made primarily for Kovana, I'm sorry to say, but it wouldn't come under our relationship system at all. Please, if you have any questions.
Sorry, there's a question again from Tuivonovo. Could we
Yes.
possibly just circle back to the Matangali? He's not sure if we've missed it, and if you could go over how relationship is addressed, like how different or similar is that to being Veitovu or Veitambani?
Okay. Matangali. Matangali is in the relationship between people or the... Okay, so Matangali, sometimes what happens is, like a whole clump, people from that Matangali, not just maybe even a whole Tokotoka, will leave the Tikin and settle elsewhere altogether. Yeah. And so what they do in order to, so what happens is they take the name of the Matangali and set it up in this new Vanua, and therefore they're able to just, they will be calling each other Matangali in a way to remind themselves or to remind each other of this link. Yeah. Isa rota vale Ronnie. Boleh binaga.
Thank you. Just another question. If you could just let us know on which province comes under which confederacy. So basically just a run through of which provinces in Fiji come under Mburimvasanga, Tovata, and the other pair of confederacies, please.
Okay, so the easiest one is Tovata. It's just for the Yasana that make up Tovata is yes, so Tovata is the Onrove, Matawata, Mbua, and Lau. Yeah? And it's all, and then we have the Kumbuna, which I believe, okay, Kumbuna is Neta Siri. No, they live. I'm sorry, I don't really know much about the Yasana system further than my own nose that is Tovata. But with regards to Kumbuna, if Lomaiviti, of course, Lomaiviti, the green people.
Sorry to
Yes.
could I just
Thank you, Eileen.
Sorry. Can you just explain again about the Tavali system? Because I believe was it Lana had posted up that it doesn't apply to the Madhwata. And the reason I'm curious about it as well is because it gets confusing for my family because my dad is from Serua, so the Western relationship applies. But then my mom's from Baul, which is like kind of different again. And we get yelled at when we call Tavale to the people we think Tavale, and then we're like, that's not your Tavale. So I don't know, can you probably just explain to the rest of that? Oh yeah, Taco and Lavo relationship as well. So yeah.
Okay. Takwalavo relationship is something I have just begun to study. And it's not just Ra, but I believe in most of the Western and Highland cultures. Yeah. Because I know in Netashiri they also use Takwalavo, and some parts of Tailevu. I've never heard, but I've never heard it in the islands.
Sorry, Vinak, to add, like you also mentioned, this is a discussion. So, feel free to also, if you feel that you have more to expand on what Tu has said, feel free to jump in also. And like I said, we're all learning here. Naka.
Yes, please. Because this is also an opportunity for me to learn. Si Vembatiki, this is something I've heard, but not something that I've also studied. And sorry, Vitavaleni. Vitavaleni is a relationship between the children of Vinganin. Yeah? So if on your father's side, the children of his sisters, or on your mother's side, the children of her brothers, that is Vitavaleni. Yeah. And that Vitavaleni stays for all generations thereafter. Okay. Oh yes, in Nokia. To. Where is he?
Yo, hello everyone. Knocking on go. You for the Vinganeni system in the level, we don't actually have Vitavalini because I'm not pretty sure, but like it's always been that way, and not too sure about the rest of what I'm. From what I know, it only applies to. I think NASA can explain more on that.
To.
Yep.
A relationship between a brother and a sister. Is that in what Vitadin or Vinganin?
Oh, sorry, Vitavini.
That's still Vitadin.
EU.
Oh, okay, so that's
It could
why
also be it could also be Vinganini.
because I've heard some of my friends from Honolulu, they call their own sister by the thing.
Hi, can I jump in?
Sure, go ahead.
Hi to so for everyone that's here, my name is Pana. I'm actually from the southernmost island in Fiji, on Elau. With the little that I've known about the because my grandmother is actually from Motuata. See, with them is like the brothers, the children, her brothers' children, they're actually our uncle. It's because they are first cousins. That's why they treat them as their own sisters, like their own siblings. So we don't actually call them as like Momo or thing. We call them Ta, even though they are our uncles. I'm like that's from what I've experienced with my mom's family. So does that shed a light?
Hi, sorry, Abel here. If no one's speaking, can I just make a point of clarification?
Sure. Okay.
Because I did ask my mom my grandmother though about Veiwekani. For us in Vakondrave, it like for my part of Vakondrave, it does exist. But yeah, like for example, my cousin and I, we are like known as Veiwekani, but then I'm not sure about the other parts. So if you're talking about like the part of the Konrove that does the Veiwekani and which one doesn't, can you just make it clear, make a clear indication? Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, I mean clear indication is which parts of Anolevu are you referring to?
Okay. So I believe, as Inoki pointed out in Panna, sorry, I believe in Mahuata there's no Veiwekani and Veiwekani, if I'm correct.
No, like they're still Veiwekani, but the way they treat each other, they treat them as Veiwekani. Like they don't spoil each other the way that we Veiwekani usually do. It's kind of like considered as a taboo. They can't even speak to their like kala na. Baka bibingani ni tel too. You know what I get? Like trying to say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But
we don't call them
title
momo.
exists.
We just call them ta.
Ta. And your Tavali, do you call them Tavali or Tadim? Like even though the relationship is such.
Yeah, even though the relationship is like that, we just call them by their names, or other than we just call them Adiko.
Okay. So then that leads to the question: do you have Veiwekani within Mahuata?
I have no idea what Veiwekani is. I mean, is it like something like Veiwekani?
Yes, Veiwekani is where two ancestors are siblings, Veiwekani. Yeah.
Oh.
But Veiwekani is where the two ancestors were Veiwekani. Or the ultimate ancestors are Veiwekani. Yeah.
Yeah, I would actually do that to the gang on the level.
Sorry, sorry to intrude.
No intrusion. Go ahead.
Some Tikinas in Vanolevu, they actually have the Vitambani system, but they don't call it Vitambani. They call it Vitavutaki, or they could just say Awu. For like for us in Amuka, our Tambani is Nabatu in the Controfe. And we call each other as Tau and not Tambani or Awu.
Sorry, this is not it.
Hey.
I thought you were talking about Namukela. Okay.
So if I just add a little bit, if I could. Boleh nakatawali too.
Hey, malam boleh tuling.
Yes, I just wanted to add on about the relationships of Veiwekani. I can stand corrected, but this is what I also heard from my elders. You are correct when you say that Veiwekani is a Ernabu Rabitadini, Sarabinganeni. Some Veiwekani is around the country. Some of them are also born through alliances, whether it may be a defeat in war, tribal wars, of course, that happened back in the day, and alliances were made because, of course, somebody had to be the winner, and because it's Vitambani is more like like somebody came and shat in your background kind of thing. Excuse me for the lack of the word. So Vitambani, that's why the confusion is there. The Vitambani is now confused as Vitabutaki because it's all from a place of upping each other. So because of the Veiwekani was compromised because either an ancestor of somebody else from their different Vanua came over to ours, stole a maiden from our village. That's the birth of that Vitambani. And Vitavutaki is other forms of Vitavutaki that can also be born off of alliances made after wars, conversation of survival. So that's just what I heard. Vinaka.
No, one such Vitambani, I believe, is between Onyata and Ono. Normally, Kambara and Onyata too, I believe, same people, or the whole Kambara, his brother is a whole Onyata. In fact, Rovia then Sarad, the who from Onyata and the son of the one from Kambara. I believe his name was Ramatau. And Ramatau was the one who brought mosquitoes. Thank you very much, Kambara, for that gift. That now reside in Onyata.
Sorry, I just posted up a question. For example, when I say this, like for example, our mother's Vitambani or mother's Vitambuki with the other provinces or other places, would that apply to us Vasus as well? Like, does it apply to us Vasus as well?
I don't believe so. Unless and until you're going as part of their lapu, then it will apply. But other than that, for example, my grandfather, within his own village, he has he's required to has his own tohu within the village, which is a total relationship with tohu. And they, whatever they want, whatever they touch, immediately they take. So normally whenever we went as Pato, or whenever we went for a funeral or something, we'd make sure we were close by him so we can hold on to the Yawo side. In that manner, they were not able to take whatever we were holding on to, because it didn't apply to us. But it only applied if he had been holding on to it. Or maybe even in such cases as if you are fully adopted or recognized by your mother's people, then in that case it would yes apply. This only the relationship, the Veiwekani only applies to the Wanoa where you're from.
Hi, can I ask a question? I'm sorry.
Sure, go ahead.
Too much. So the word Naita, can you explain like what does it mean and to who does it apply to?
Naita is an extension of Naitambang or Naitambang. It's mostly, this is mostly between Highlanders and Islanders within Gumbasanga and also Kumbuna. So Neka is normally, especially between Kandavo and Nambanga or Veiwekani and Panga. I think this Neka. Isa ko na sarwali ko ratu yawanir nalong ibang. That's all right, Panapasa.
Hi, too. I have a question. So since you're saying that the Vita Wu is based on like the Wus, like two Wus siblings, would you please tell us about the Wus and which Wu is related to which Wu, if you know about the Wus?
Okay. For Wu, sorry, there's one chicken in Kandava, I believe they call Neka to again Kunandana. But when it comes to the Wu, it all goes back to thingy. Because from what I've read and what I've heard, there's a book, I'm not sure if you've heard of this book. It was written by a man who came to work during colonial times. Yes, it's written by a white man, but it's very well written. And he covers the family of Ndinge and the relationship thereafter. If you'd like this, if you'd like a copy of this, I have a PDF copy with you. Send me an email and I'll be more than happy to send it to you. But with regards to all the Wu in Fiji, count the number of Tukinas and you can count the number of Wus and also the relationship between them. Yes, it's happening at the Wu also refers to ancestors. When it came to the Fijian gods, it was mostly ancestral spirits or ancestral gods. Yeah. So I believe their prowess in certain areas combined to make the belief that they were more supernatural, and after their death, they were deified or made into gods by the people or their own families and such. But no, I'm not done. But sorry, yes, I'm sorry, but I won't be able to tell you who the Wu are from the respective Filipinos. But what I'll do is I'll try to look into it further and I'll post it up on Twitter. Very sorry about that.
Two.
Yep.
Eileen was asking, can you differentiate or can you expand further on Veiwekani and Apolis Veiwekani?
Veiwekani is siblings in between, or siblings that are of the same gender. So brother and brother, sister and sister. And when it comes down to the next generation, only the their children are also Tedim or Vitedim. But when it comes to Veiwekani on the next generation, it becomes Veiwekani. These are all these games. Malo tol mayano from Kandavu.
So I'm just gonna read a question, if you don't mind.
Sure, go ahead.
Someone's asking if you could elaborate.
I'm sorry.
Did you hear my question too?
No.
Should I repeat my question? Yeah.
Yes,
if you could elaborate on it, Veiwekani, if you know anything about Veiwekani, and if you could elaborate on it.
Okay, the relationship between Hungale and Lutu that I described, that is also, I believe that that's also Veiwekani. But sometimes Veiwekani is a relationship or it's an alliance, and normally it's when a certain Tikina asks, requests help from a Bati clan from a different Tikina altogether. So the Bati clan comes over and they help the Vanua that paid for them as mercenaries, but then they're also, sometimes they also ask to settle that to help or to ensure security. So the two Tikinas therefore would call each other Veiwekani. I believe this is, yes, this would apply to my mother's village in Nadeva. In Nadeva, there are those from a certain Matangali that's called Matarua. My mother's Matangali. And their ancestors came from Serua. From South Benga, Nadeva to settle. And they have managed, I believe that the relationship would be called Veiwekani.
I have a question. So
yes, go ahead.
Okay. Bakal Kantabu and like Nandranga the western area is not like, you know, like Tovu, like Veiwali and stuff. So would they be like Tovu, like Veiwali, or?
Okay. This comes down to Tikina also, because I believe on Tikina, my grandmother's Tikina in Kandavu, that's Tavuki. They are sorry, I'm not sure if it's Veitamban or Veitawutaki with Vuche and Rewa.
Yeah, because Kandavu and Rawa are like Naita, right?
Not exactly.
What?
Other than these two places, I've heard a lot of people from Kandavu and Rewa call each other Kai.
Yeah, because like that's like Murambasanga, like Kaivata. Yeah,
but except for these two Chikina, that is Vuche and Rewa.
Yeah.
With Tavuki in Kandavu. I think they're Veitambani. because from all the songs that I've attended, where these two are together, it's really rowdy. And the spoiling and what they do to each other, I think it's Vitambani. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, Chelly has a question about Andreas, so I'll ask her. After that, Mary has a question as well regarding. Sorry, Mary, I kind of missed your question, but anyways, after Chelly will be Mary. So I'm unmuting Chelly now.
Okay, sorry.
To ask a question.
Could you unmute Inoki? Inoki can explain the Andreu system.
Okay, then let's let Chelly ask the question first, and then.
Okay.
Right. Chelly, you can ask your question.
Oh, sorry. Can someone like elaborate on that, please? Nandreu, Vika Divin Nandreu. Wait, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
It's Nandronga and Vano.
Yeah, Nandronga and Vano. That's the only one that I know that they call Geo.
So it's the West and Vanolevu, I think. Is it?
No,
or
I think it's
just
just
certain parts of. Okay.
Do you guys know why?
I'm sorry. I have not looked into Andreu before, so no, I don't know why. But from what I've read on Twitter, someone explained that it's, I think it was Inoke who explained it, that it means like Andreu is in sweet, and the full phrase is actually sweet lips. So it's something like a Vita Wutaki relationship, but just a different label on it.
Actually, I'll move on to Mary now. Mary, I'm going to unmute you to ask your question.
Bula, I just wanted to ask. So I've gotten told that not everyone in Thai level levels with everyone in low. I just wanted to like clarify with that. Is it just like certain section, like certain tikinas or certain villages with certain places in low? Because I know like where I'm from, we have like a certain relation with people from Lakemba.
Oh, where are you from in Thai level?
Tumbulevu, Namara.
I'm pretty sure you are directly Vita, because the migration patterns were said to have same people who settled there were those who first settled the camp.
Yeah, because I would call them like Weka. I know that people from Veiwekani in Vunubalavu, they're from the same like Matangali as me. But like I heard that different sections of Lao, like I don't call anything to anyone from Ono. It's only the people from Bao, I think, or like, but I wouldn't call them anything. Or I don't know. I don't know if I'm right or wrong. I've been informed wrong.
That's correct. Like for us in Panyata, we don't call all of the Livitogu. It's actually supposed to be only Nakelo. That is our direct Togu, right?
Sorry, can you say that one more time for me?
Where I'm from, Oneata,
Mm-hmm.
our Tauhunjina is Nakelo in Telebu, not all of Telebu. But thanks to the provincial system, people have just, it's like the whole province is just calling each other Tauhu.
So like in the real way, like where I'm from, I don't call certain places in Lao nothing. Like there's no.
Yeah, you'll just,
Can I jump in real quick?
Sure, go ahead.
Sorry, who was that, Mary? You said you were from Namara, right? Okay,
Yeah.
so with Ono and Bao, they had this they have this relationship where it is actually it was about like way back, something about wars and stuff like that. But somehow Namaratu is actually part of that Vita Vutaki with Ono. It was said that one of you guys high chief actually impregnated one of the princes in Bao, and then there was running away from all over the islands, and then somehow ended up in Ono, and then we actually did the deed of killing him and presenting the tambo to the gang from Bao. So that's how we actually get our relationship from. So yeah, somehow like I didn't know this until I don't know if you know the late Alfred Malo who used to live here. He actually explained this. Yeah, he actually explained this to me. He's from Namara, and then
Yeah, I think there's a relation with them as well.
Sorry.
Yes, so that's my point on Namara and Ono being also Vito Vutaki.
Sorry, can I please clarify on that?
Sure, go ahead.
Just in regards to that story, I think what he explained about was I think Namara Onela relationship precedes the Mbao Onela relationship, being that people from Namara were migrated to Onela. But for the Mbao Onela relationship, it was because of the killing of Nimataiwalu.
Yes.
He was the one that was the story of.
It wasn't the princess, it was a queen.
Pardon? Yes.
It wasn't the princess he impregnated, it was a queen.
Yes. It was,
Wait, can you guys say that story one more time? I didn't hear it properly, sorry.
So, you too, would you? Or so Nimataiwalu was with his uncle. They went to Mbao for a meeting, I believe. He was asked to stay on the boat.
Because he was a very beautiful man.
Yes, because he was a very attractive young gentleman. The Randini Levuka, was it Randini Levuka or
Ranjini Levuka, yeah.
Mbao?
Ranjini Levuka is the wife of the Rohpi Mbao.
Vunivalu. So they would take food across onto the boat for this young man's meals. The knowledge of him being there was kept a secret because of his past, well, things that he would do because he's such an attractive guy. But Randini Levuka heard about that the food is being taken to the boat. Heard about that there was an attractive man on that boat. And so she decided to take it one night. This is when the name, I think, Mwavewanga came about. Because she spent the night on the boat. Had a child was born from that incident. Whose name was it? Would you? Well, it skips. Didn't Banu sometimes?
Yes.
Yeah. But then when that was discovered, when that incident was discovered, he went on the run. Went all the way through the islands and ended up in Onelau. But when he left Mbao, Akamunanga, Atambua followed him on his journey, and then it was received in Onelau. It bypassed all the other islands, Jasiasa, Oneata, and all that, and ended up in Onelau. When they received it, they agreed to kill Nimatoalu for what he did in Bao. That's where the relationship was born from.
And the name Balimeon.
Just to clarify, yeah. Naka, sorry, back.
Front. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. Sorry. So yes.
Continue the discussion. Just a few reminders, please. Onisimo is requesting if you have any questions, just put up your hands and you'll be unmuted. Also, off your mic when you're not asking questions, and keep the chat forum strictly to discussions and questions and responses to other people's questions. Please, or we will have no choice but to ask you to stay. Thank you.
Oh, one thing. I'm an avid reader of both fantasy books of the fantasy genre and history. And reading through Fijian history, especially pre-colonial history, is similar to reading Game of Thrones novels. That's how complex it is. Like how the houses within the setting of you have those relationships, and then you have the stories that come with it. Not just the ones you read on paper, but the oral histories that go along. Yeah. Yes. Any more questions, comments? Someone asked what Yano, what the meaning of Yano is. But yes, meaning of Yano. Sorry. Wait, but after during colonialism, when islanders came to work on the mainland, that is Vitilim. So because they were, so the islanders used to band together, no? And in order to protect each other, we forged this relationship, which we call Yanu. So, we call each other by this. So people from Lomaiviti, Lau, Kandavu, Yasawa. Yes, just another expression. Not from
Thank
the
you.
level of knowledge. Sorry.
Thank you, too. We have a question from Metui. Metui, the floor is yours now, Metui.
Mbuluvinaka too. I'm from Nakelo, and I was pretty find out that Onyata and Nakelo are the only the two Vita Utaki from Televu and Lau. And I have a question about these unique ties between Nakelo and Naita Siri, whereby we refer and call each other as Ngavata or Ova. Can you like explain more on that? Because I have some knowledge that I hear from my elders and stuff. But can you give us an explanation explanation on that.
I was at Veiwekani, and I was talking with a gentleman. Veiwekani has a distinction of having two chiefs under one village, I believe. And this was
they have Veiwekani village, and they sort of have having two Yavusas. They have Naluna and another Yavusa. Yeah, there's two Yavusa in Veiwekani.
Yes, and I think there was some sort of conflict, and both heads of the Yavusa were trying to claim a title. I'm not sure, but whatever the
two
case,
Vutuvo and two Naluna titles. Vutuvo and Naluna, yeah.
And I think Vutuvo was the one who told me the story. No, he didn't tell me the story. He just explained it as birds of a feather. He said it was an alliance of war. And so they've always called each other that, Obananga and all that, to refer back to that. But I believe it was 5 o'clock in the morning, and we spent the whole night groggy. By the time I came around to the question, I'm really sorry. I can't really remember what else he said. But yes, if you can tell me, because that's also another relationship I'd like to.
Thank you, Metui. We have a question from Izzy. Izzy.
Oh, yeah. Just wanted to ask about the Matangali relationship, because there's a lot of everyone talking about Naita, Tawu, but what's the Matangali relationship? Especially Tailevu or just that.
Matangali relationship usually applies when members of one Matangali up and leave the whole Tikina and form sometimes they form a whole new Vanua or Yavusa and such in a different location. They migrate altogether. So so when they meet people of the original Matangali, they will call each other as such. So sometimes they call it'll be Mata or such. These people, pardon me, sorry. But yes, these people will refer. That is what I've taken, what I understand is the relationship of Matangali.
Thank you, too. We have a question from Penny. Penny?
Hi.
Hello.
Sorry, my question has just been answered about the Vitambani thing. Sorry.
No worries, Penny. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a question from Lo Matanitombua. Hi, Lo.
Hi. I just wanted to ask, you talked about how you read a lot. I was wondering if you could recommend stuff that you've read that remind you of Fijian history and stuff. That's it.
If you guys provide me with your emails, I can send you a book that's Denge's Descendants. Denge's Descendants. Also, I can send along books by my favorite two authors on Fijian history, especially pre-colonial history, A.C. Reid It's Alpha Charlie, and then Reed, REID, Romeo Echo India Delta, and AM Pocat. That's Alpha Mike, and then Pocat Hotel Oscar Romeo, Charlie Alpha Romeo Tango.
Thank you. Thank you, too. We have a question from Lara D. Lara.
Bolivinak, everyone. Bullet 2, just a question. You were talking about Rutuma. You were trying to distinguish where Rutuma fell under one of the three, and you mentioned Kovana. I'm sorry, I don't know if this is a stupid question or not. But can you please clarify what Kovana means exactly?
No, that's not a stupid question. I'm really sorry about that, but Kovana is the Fijian title for the government or the governor back then, the office of the governor or the authority that was given by the governor. So it translates now to the government. Yeah. So the government stands on its standalone. It doesn't come under any of the three Matiniti. So normally, when we're talking about it as such, it would come under the title of Koban.
Okay, thank you too.
You're welcome.
Thank you, everyone. If anyone has any other questions, you can. Oh, okay. We have one from Izzy. Oh.
Oh, sorry. Aaron, you want to ask a question?
Sorry, I just wanted to respond to the Kovana thing as well. There is another sort of relationship that they use the word Kovana for, and that's most in Western region. So you see Nadronga, Ba, Tavua. Kovana here is used during funerals when the maternal family of the deceased are present. So they actually take precedence and they're treated special, and they have things to take away as well after the function. They are also called Kovana. So basically bosses. That's all. Back to you, Ratskeli.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Just, well, everyone pretty much covered what I was going to talk about the Kovana relationship. But just, you may already know this, but one book I also wanted to touch on, or a leaflet, for those, especially for those of us already here in Suva, Itoki Affairs. I'm not too sure if you can get a copy of it, but you can go and ask about the Tugutukra Ramba. That pretty much explains the whole Matangali and everything else. If you want to know more about yourself, especially, you're not allowed to. It's not allowed to be taken out because there's only one copy. Hope to God that they digitize it and it doesn't burn. But sorry, shouldn't have said that. But anyway, Tukutukura Ramba. Ask for that book. Then you can take a notepad and write down, and hopefully type it down and make copies for your friends overseas. Just that.
Thank you, Izzy. We have a few that are requesting for your email. So maybe if you could just type it down in the chat.
If I may.
Yeah, sure.
So going back to Matangali. Oh, hi everybody. My name is Nasa. I'm from Ngaloli Kutumbua. So going back to Matangali. Firstly, I don't know if any of you have heard the story of Naurmatua and the links that Mbua and Udunivonua have Veratan. So if you haven't heard the story, I would just briefly want to share that short story. Yeah? So Lutunas Rokamutu had a older son called Naurmatua, and he was sent away from his father to go live somewhere, or he was told to go somewhere else. and he was given small flower called mbua. And that is why it is known today as mbua, as a mbua. So that is why we have links from Ulinivan Perata. So the Mbua people, we are always closely related to the gang from Berata, and we are basically called Matangali, and that's how in one case, one of the stories that we share links to through that event. Thank you.
Thank you too. Let's see. Are there any questions from the chat? Two, and I think Inoke, are there any other points that you'd like to talk on while we gathering other questions from our listeners?
Looking at here.
I have a question.
Sorry.
Sorry, Andy, we'll just, I'll get back to you. Inoki, what's your question?
It's not a question, but from what NASA shared about Naulumatua. Naulumatua is Rokumotu's eldest child. His other name is Mbua Tavatava, and he was sent away to Mbua, and he was his point was on the Vitambani system, and I think this is one of the reasons why Namuka in Madwata have a Vitambani system also with Mbua, because for Namuka, our tavu is Mbauyanuanu. And Mbauyanuanu is linked to Rokomotu's daughter, the eldest child, Mbuisavulu. And Mbuisavulu's great grandson, Weti. Weti is like a progenitor of Mbau and Namuka, and like that's how we have the Vita Vutaki system. And in that, there's the linkage between the Vitambani system between Mbau and Namuka in Magota.
Okay. We have 3 questions coming in, but I will get to Andy. Andy.
Oh, sorry, my question was for Doniette.
Yeah.
Sorry. Hi. I was just wondering, what's the relationship between Bucherewa and Monarewa? Like, I know they're like some sort of Vitovu. If you could help me with that one. Or if Tu and Inoke knows about that one as well.
Inoke, M?
Sorry, I can't answer that question. Maybe Tu can shed some light on that.
Okay.
I'm really sorry. No, I don't know about Bucherel.
Okay. Inoke, do you have anything you'd like to share to that question by Andy?
Sorry, I'm unfamiliar with the question.
Bucherel seems to have a lot of Veiwekani, to be honest, because yes, I mentioned the first being with Taruki, and I've also heard that they have their own relationships within the Sanorea. So if you email me, maybe I'll check with an uncle and a cousin of mine who are from there, and I'll get back to you.
Hey, Andy, I think Tu's email is shadyislander@gmail.com. So maybe if you could just shoot him an email. Hey, Mario. Okay. We have a question from Tima. Hey, Tima, you can ask your question now.
Oh, hi everyone. So I would like to know why is it that we Lawrence and the gang from Bonolevo are called Tovata? Thank you.
Thank you, Chima.
Well, it's due to the basically the last few years before we got colonized. These three Assamese banded together to be these four Assamese, sorry. They banded together under one flag. That was Tomat. It was basically an alliance, and they were, according to one of the books I've read, they say that they were preparing to launch an attack on Bau, and others say that they just did it out. The alliance was just a defense, one for defense. But yeah, from that alliance, it survived colonialism, and it's basically one of the two first alliance. One that being Tovata, and the other one Kumbula. So yes, that's why we call each other Tovata whenever we meet each other. We're just acknowledging the alliance, military alliance that existed between our North.
Nice. We have Melania, who wants to ask a question. Melania?
Hi, too. So, so I was told that Vanomalawu used to be part of Vonolevu before, and then yeah, and then it was given back to Lao. And if you could just share on this.
This one, okay. Balahu, okay, the three divisions of Lawe. There's Akem Kena Yasa Samoala, and also, and the last one being, so okay, so what happened was when Ma'afu arrived, there were only two. Lao used to be split in two, not three. Yeah. So when Ma'afu arrived, he started taking over islands. The common misconception is he came with an invading force. From what I've read, that's why he was actually brought to Fiji to die. Because they say that he was the last of the direct line of kings in Tonga. And the Tui Tonga back then, Tui Sayosi, or King George, was afraid that he would take over. So he sent him to Fiji, and the instructions for those that came with him were to kill him. But because of his status, they actually became his administrators. So he told them, now you're no longer from Tonga, and now you're sons of Lawata. Those are the people who are now called the Onewai. Okay. So when he came to Laos, he started, the first thing he did was consolidate the Tongan forces that were already here. Now, Tongans had been raiding Fiji far before Ma'afu came. And sometimes they would fight Fijians and sometimes they would fight each other. What he did was, thanks to his status, he was able to finally unite them and start wreaking havoc in Fiji. So, Rovital Masar roti da au ti tineo or Veiwekani. And they decided to make a whole new title just for Ma'afu. And they put together some islands that would serve as his base. And this was to ensure that he would not fight against them. Those islands were Wanombalawu, Watike, and Veiwekani. But back then it because the islands that were given were clusters of islands that belonged to both Lau and the Oblong. So from then on, I'm very sorry. I got into telling the story and I forgot what the question was. But I believe it was a question of whether or not who Wonombalov belonged to before. So yes, that was why.
Wonombalavo belonged to Vanuatu, and I just want to know why they were given back to
Not given back to Laos.
What happened?
It was not given back to Laos. It was given to Ma'afu to ensure that he didn't fight both Tuivakau and Tuineo. After they installed him as, and they gave him the title of Tuilau. This is very important because a lot of people often say that the Tuineo and the Tuilau are the same title. That is incorrect. The Tuineo title is only for Nati Vidaki. Like I'm gonna be the Kata. For Yasa Samoa, it's a Rokosau, may Tata. And for Wonombalau, it's a Tuilau. And then the main Lomoloma. It was not given to Lau, but when after the deed of cession was signed, it was absorbed into the Samoa province of Lau. So all of the three answer the question?
Thank you. Oh. Thank you too. We have, I think, a question from Izzy. Izzy?
Yeah, sorry. I think too. That was one of the stories I was told, and I also read. In terms with Mafu and Wonombalau, solely Vaturang, it wasn't. It was just given. Well, sort of subdue, but also to because there was animals and coconut, I knew, to help him fund his well, when he was here, whilst he was here in Fiji. But as the Tuivakau got, I think it was in a bit of a way, Mafu kind of pulled the wool over the Tuivakau's eyes because he was able to convince the Mataniwano for the Tuitakau to sign an agreement, as in the island was given to him, but it wasn't actually given the whole island. Actually, what was on the island, it was just the new and the cows, I think, at the time. So not the whole island. Whatever. So it was in return for a boat, I believe, that he had also gifted to the cow. The cow couldn't pay for the boat, so he said, use whatever's on the island. But Mafu was able to put everything in black and white and got it done in a sort of in a way that it legitimized his ownership over the island. But it wasn't exactly the island itself, but just the coconut. So you can correct me if I'm wrong on that. Well, that's what I read in the book Tovata. I think it was Tovata. Yeah.
AC Reed. Volume 1 or Volume 2?
Yes, AC Reed. I think it was volume 1. I have to, yeah.
Okay.
But also, yeah, I heard of that as well.
The book that I'm sourcing on is Ma'afu, Prince of Tonga.
Oh, hey, sorry. Just to one more thing I wanted to ask about was Ma'afu, because you know this whole talk of what would have happened if the deed of cession hadn't occurred. I believe there's a story that he was actually waiting on that to fail. Yeah. The king Tepo Ndua was able to put together an army that was waiting in Samoa as well, and a group in Tonga. And also the Tovata Confederacy had waited, that he had mentioned that if that deed of cession was going to, or the UK were not going to answer the request, they were going to attack Mbau and make us part of the Tongan monarch. Is that the word? I'm not too sure. Yeah, but is that Tongan Kingdom, part of the Tongan Kingdom? Because they were just waiting for that to fail. There's something also that, yeah.
Okay.
Just that.
Sorry. Apologies, ladies and gents. Sorry, just this is interesting conversation. We would like to facilitate all questions, but with all respect, I feel that we should also continue this session where we can also expand on things. With that being said, we'll probably take the next 3 questions, and then we conclude, if that's okay. Naka.
Thank you, Rupeni. Sophia Taoi.
Sorry, can I just answer?
Yeah, short too. Sorry, my apologies.
Okay. Anthropologists have found that there were 3 waves, 3 empires that might have existed in the Pacific. 3 empires come under the name Tuipulotu, Tui Manua, and the Tui Tonga empires. Tuipulotu was said to be from Fiji and based in Fiji, also known as Tuimburotu, and Tui Manua was based in Tonga, and the last in Tui Tonga. So what happened was, after the Tui Tonga fell, when there was a lot of infighting, Tui Tonga had been looking to re-establish, the new king of Tonga wanted to re-establish that empire, but he wanted all of Fiji or none of it. In 1873, the Tuineo raised the Tongan flag over Tumbo, showing that he was willing to give all of Lau to Tonga. Unfortunately, at the same time, King Seyosi was very wary of who was standing beside Tuineo at the time, and that was his cousin, Mafu Pilau. So what he was afraid of was, if he were to legitimize the session of Lau to Tonga. In Tonga. So with that in mind, he rejected the claim. He rejected the session of Lau to Tonga. That's what I've read and heard thus far.
Thank you, too. I have a question from Sophia Taoe. I'm pretty sure we've covered this, but I think she missed out. If you could just quickly to which islands come under which cluster?
In
I think she's probably meaning just the confederacies again.
I think she was actually referring to Lau Matanising.
The Lauan cluster, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All the 3 divisions of Lau.
Yes.
Yes.
Veroni. Okay. Yasa sa Moala, al satu di Yasa sa Moala, I believe that's Moala, Matuku, and Tutoya. Moala, Matuku, and Tutoya. And then you have Vonombalavu in Veiwekani, which is basically Vonombalavu, Avea, and sorry, yes, and the different islands also have their own names for the clusters. So, like, growing up, I only knew like a Tokata, Vonombalavu, Veiwekani, and Yasa Samoala. Yasa Samoala, sorry, if you listened, I didn't say the question was from Sophie Taoe. I didn't say the name of your island, Vanuatu, because officially Vanuatu was known as a 4th village of Tutoya under the Rokosau. So I'm not sure if they still hold to that, but what I learned growing up and what I've read thus far was that Vanuatu was the name or was the 4th village of Tutoya. Yeah. So yes, and Lakemba we have Lakemba, Oniata, Ono, unfortunately, Namuka, Ongea, Ongendriki, and such. I can also send for those. I can also send this information in the email. So yes, just send me an email and I'll be able to send this information. I don't have it off the tip of my fingers, but yeah. Mary has a question.
Hi, sorry, just another question. In regard to the confederacies, do you know why that was brought in and introduced to Fiji?
The 3 confederacies.
Like Burmasanga, Kumbuna, Tovata, like why was it brought in? Do you know? Sorry.
The confederacies were to basically help. First of all, there were already 2 confederacies. Yes. There was Kumbuna and there was Tovata. So when Great Britain came in, I believe they created the 2nd confederacy, the 3rd confederacy, right? To help with the administration. That's why Burmasanga is in such a weird shape.
So before Burmasanga was brought in, like who were they under? Like were they a part of Kumbuna, I mean, sorry?
No, I believe that they were under their own different alliances. Burmasanga was more of Rewa and some of the tribes that were trying to rebel from Neta Siri and Tailevu. because one of the main reasons that Takumbo had to cede Fiji was because his borders were being pushed back. Because he had gone as far as Navala in Ba.
Oh, okay.
Naka. We'll be taking one last question before we conclude things. Anyone else would like to share? And on that note, thank you so much for everyone who has contributed the feedback. Panpasa, Inoke, just to name a few. Easy. Thank you so much. Yes, we'll be taking the last question. Any final words? I mean, any...
Can I say something? Okay. Can I just say something? Can I just say something? Bulo binaka to everyone. While hearing the talks, there's a lot of mix about the topics concerning Unombalabu Lau, because you are talking two different things at the same time, trying to solve the problem or trying to clear the information. Firstly, the Lau group was only divided into two configurations. That was Kumbuna and the Kondrobe, which is, if you can see, the main island was Totoya, Matuku, and Moala. They all belong to Kumbuna. The proof is this. If you see the background of these three big islands, they are all from Netasiri, they are all from Tailevu, they are all from Ra. This was happened during Ratu Takumbau's when he was battling all over during his time. So part of the island of Lau on top was belonged to the Kondrobe, which is and they were battling over about the place. And then after that, Ma'afu tried to come in during their conflict. And when Ma'afu came in, when he saw, when he tried to proceed on with his battling with his islands, because Kumbuna has taken the big islands and is trying to go on to the small islands. And then when he saw the Fijians, and he said, oh no, these people are so big, I can't go against them. They are huge and they are warriors. Okay. And then that stopped him from proceeding what he wants to do. So there was a story, though he ended up in Wonomalabu, he doesn't, so he stopped from there. And he never proceeded on his battle. So he went back to Tonga and tell the Tongans that I can't go forward. He was the brother, Ma'afu was the brother of the king of Tonga. So to clear the point, Lau was only belongs to the Kondrobe and Kumbuna. Okay. Concerning Namatentu or Lau, during Ratu Sukuna, okay, I'll bring forward to during the time of Ratu Sukuna. See, Ratu Sukuna is the one who formed Lau as a province. There was no province at Lau, no province at all during Lau. It was only Mburimbasanga and Kumbuna. And the Kondrobe and Lau was formed by Ratu Sukuna, so that I'm from Bau myself, okay?
And Ratsukuna
is from Bau himself. And I know the story because he is also, I'm related to him. And I know all the story about him. And I know his background from home myself, okay? So he couldn't make himself or install himself as a Winibal of Bau. So he tried, because he was reigned during the time, during the colonial days, he himself wants to install as a chief himself. So he went down to Lau, and then he formed Lau as a province itself. He installed himself as the chief of Lau. So I want to clarify all those stories so that, because I've heard a lot of stories, it's all rumors, and that's not a true story. This is a true story of Lau Kumbuna and Burimasanga. There was only two main confederacy, or it was only Kumbuna and Burimasanga, because there were, if you
yeah.
So if you can go into the history or the background, if you see most of these ancestors from Laos, they know their background. Some of them, they knew they are from Ra, they are from Telugu, they are from, and they have their, we call the Yabu, or where they come from. They're still there installed in Telugu, in Ra. They're all there. Some of them are trying to get back into where they come from. So I'm just trying, well, I'll stop from there. I think it's taking too long. Thank you so much. So there's much to say, but
I think we lost him. And we would have really wanted to, it would have been great to have actually know his name and where he was, where he's actually from, because that's some wonderful input that he that actually gave us. Though I can see in the chat some people have some disagreements about it. But let's not forget, this is a discussion. And with that being said, we'll take the last question.
It has nothing to do with the last person that spoke, for whoever's feeling. I appreciate the passion behind that sharing. I think it also teaches us something very important. And I think it's very important for us to start getting involved, a little bit more involved with our own families, whether it be family gatherings. I, for one, can testify to the fact that nearly everything that I've learned were from around these settings. And it's best coming from an elder. The other interesting thing about a relationship that I just like to draw attention to is the Veiwekani. You would notice, I don't know whether you all notice, that we don't have a first cousin, second cousin, third cousin when it comes to us as Kaibitia and our Veiwekani. Although we're starting to treat relatives for our Nganendas, no matter how far from the trunk their branch extends, we do treat them a little bit differently. I've been told numerous times by my elders, and then comes along one day explanation, and then we end up all frustrated. I've been told of so many times by my elders, we don't have such a thing as first cousin, second cousin, which is one of the things I think we should be careful about, how we treat our relatives when we introduce to them. And of course, asking the right questions, like all of these questions we're asking right now, we could have learned from finding ourselves in the right places. Nanda Songo Veiwekani, Nanda Tigowatana Songo, etc., etc. And that's the best place. And in terms of referencing things from written books about our lived narratives as Itoke people, just a word of caution, we need to be careful about the things that we read. It's good to read documents. There will be a lot of commitment to the truth, and there's going to be a lot of respect behind it. Not to say it's not going to be respected by, really, lack of a better word, white people or somebody from outside of our country. I'm just saying they cannot be the best vessels to or probably pass on the knowledge. That's why it's best listening to the right people from within our own circles, the nuclear circles. Kongaya, just words of encouragement. Really love the conversation, and all due respect to Alice's dad. Thank you.
Binaka. So we'll conclude things from. If Onisimo or one Paul would like to say something from my side. Thank you so much for everyone taking interest, for everyone who gave us feedback, and not only that, contributed. But we definitely, one thing that we can take away from this is we will definitely have more of this. It wasn't just to benefit, asking in Fiji, but everyone else too, and everyone who has an interest for this.
Just before everybody heads off, please keep in mind that we really wanted to make this a safe forum. So if you have any issues or disagreements, when you tweet about it, please be mindful of your tone. Remember, we all have different practices from where we come from. So please, if you have any disagreements that that anybody raised, or if there's any ways that you would like us to improve, DM the facilitators, and please keep it sensitive and respectful when you discuss this on the tweets. Thank you.